Good morning everyone, my name is Guimbaleña. For today, I will discuss the chapter 16, formulates of entry and an exit from the Philippines. Learning objectives identify various government requirements for foreigners to enter the Philippines. Explain the importance of a valid passport when traveling. Enumerate the privileges of Filipinos covered by the Balikbayan program and discuss the dual citizenship. Topic outline. First, introduction. Next is section 10, non-immigrants. Non-immigrants and the 7 categories. Admissions of aliens under prearranged employment. The Board of Commissioners. Balikbayan. Philippine foreign policy towards China. Philippine immigration policy on Indians. Lifting immigration restrictions on South Africans. 3 types of passports. Philippines passports, fantasy passport, visa requirements, Subic Special Investor Visa, Special Economic Zone Visa, Special Clark Economic Zone Visas under Executive Order No. 80, 1993 and Executive Order No. 80 of 1993. Cagayan Economic Zone and Freeport Visa RA 7922, Investors in Tourism-Related Project, Tourist establishments under Executive Order No. 63, extensions of stay, exclusions of foreigners, exit requirements, and Republic Act No. 9225 or Dual Citizenship Law. The entry and admissions of foreigners into the Philippines are matters of privilege because every foreign state has absolute and exclusive power of government and its own territory, although entitled to all the rights and privileges of a friendly guest. They cannot claim the right to enjoy privileges which by their nature belong exclusively to the host. Unquestionable, every state has a fundamental right to the integrity of its territory and are exclusive and peaceable possessions of its dominions, which it may guard and defend by possible means against any attack. The international community leave states are liberty fix the condition under which foreigners should be allowed to enter their territory. This condition may be more or less convenient to foreigners, but they are a legitimate manifestation, territorial powers, and not contrary to the law. This chapter deals with the requirements of foreigners as well as Filipino for entry and exit from the Philippine territory. Section 10. Non-immigrants must present for admission into the Philippines of unexpired passports or official documents in the nature of passports issued by the government of the countries to which they owe allegiance or other travel documents showing their origins and identity as prescribed by regulations, and valid passport, visas granted by diplomatic or consular officer. Non-immigrants must present an expired passport and valid visa prior to the admission into the Philippines. The Philippine Immigration Act provides 7 visa categories for non-immigrants, namely: first, temporary visitor; second, transient; third, seaman; fourth, treaty trader or treaty investor; fifth, foreign government official; sixth, student; and 7, prearranged employment. Second is an alien is allowed only one immigration visa category to any given time. Admissions of aliens under prearranged employment. For aliens who wish to engage in gainful employment in the Philippines, prearranged employment visas are secured from the Philippine Consular Office. Upon authorization issued by the Commissioner of Immigration, an applicant for a prearranged employment visa must prove the following jurisdictional facts to the Board of Commissioners. First is the nature of the labor or service for which the visa is desired. Next, no person can be found in the Philippines who is willing and competent to perform such labor or service. Next, the length of time of employment. the wages or compensation to be received, the reasons why no other person in the Philippines can be engaged for such labor or service, certified copies of the contract of employment, the reason why the admission of the applicant into the Philippines shall be beneficial to the public interest, and proof of his valid entry and admissions in the Philippines. The Board of Commissioners shall also require the following documentary proof of the applicant. Qualifications of the applicant: alien employment permit issued by the Department of Labor and Employment. In the process cases, a provisional permit to work or special work permit issued by the Bureau of Immigration. In certain cases, absence of derogatory information against the applicant from any local or international law enforcement agency. Financial capacity of the petitioning company to support and maintain the applicant during his employment in the Philippines. A written undertaking that the applicant shall not participate in any partisan political activity for the duration of his stay in the Philippines. A written undertaking that the applicant shall use the prearranged employment visa exclusively. Certified copies of the corporate registration papers at the Securities and Exchange Commission, and proof of payment of the income taxes of the alien and his employer. A balikbayan shall mean a Filipino citizen who has been continuously out of the Philippines for a period of at least 1 year. A Filipino overseas worker or a former Filipino citizen and his family who had been naturalized in a foreign country and comes or returns to the Philippines. Those bearing foreign passports, with the exceptions of restricted nationals, shall be allowed, among others, visa-free entry to the Philippines for a period of 1 year. A recent shift in the Philippine policy towards China have led to significant changes in immigration guidelines for 5 major classes of Chinese nationals, including those from the People's Republic of China or PROC, Hong Kong, SAR, Macau SAR, Certificate of Identity, and Taiwan or Republic of China. They can now obtain multiple entry temporary visitor or business visas for up to 6 months even without prior Department of Foreign Affairs authorization by submitting essential documents such as a visa application form, a valid passport or entry visa for their next destination, and a confirmed return ticket. Chinese travelers are now allowed an initial stay of 59 days, whether traveling individually or in groups. Philippine immigration policy on Indians. Temporary visitor visas are available to Indian nationals provided they apply for affirm their country or origin or India, or form their place to legal or permanent residence. They are no longer permanently residing in India, or those who have been previously issued a temporary visitor visa may apply for a visa from any Philippine embassy or consulate in a third country if they have not been subsequently denied a visitor visa, blacklisted, or deported from the Philippines. Lifting immigration restrictions on South Africans. On October 8, 1993, the UN General Assembly lifted all economic sanctions imposed against South Africa in the areas of trade, investments, finance, travel, and transportation. South Africans are no longer restricted aliens' passport requirements. A passport is defined as an official document or identity, a nationality issued to a person intending to travel or sojourn in foreign countries. It is the property of the government of issuing authority. It is not a private property of the person to whom it has been issued. There are 3 types of passport. First is the diplomatic passports. They are issued for persons imbued in a diplomatic status or rare on diplomatic missions, such as the President and former Presidents of the Republic of the Philippines, the Vice President and the former Vice Presidents of the Republic of the Philippines, Senate President and Speaker of the House of representatives, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, the Cabinet Secretaries, Undersecretaries, and Assistant Secretaries of the Department of Foreign Affairs, ambassadors, foreign service officers of all ranks in the current diplomatic service, attaches, and members of their families. Second is official passports are issued to all government officials and employees on the official trip abroad but who are not on a diplomatic mission or delegates to the international or regional conferences or has not been accorded diplomatic status such as on the undersecretaries and assistant secretaries of the cabinet other than the Department of Foreign Affairs, associate justice, and other members of the judiciary. Third is regular passports are issued to private persons who are not eligible to diplomatic or official passports, including government officials or employees going abroad for pleasure or other personal reasons. Foreign nationals entering the Philippines must have a passport or travel document valid for at least 6 months. They must always carry their passports to avoid being classified as undocumented. Alternatively, they may carry photocopies showing essential details such as name, issuance and expiry dates, latest visa, and admission stamp to aid in obtaining replacement if lost. In case of passport loss, non-immigrant allies must report it immediately to the police and secure a report, which should be submitted to their embassy or consulate and the Bureau of Immigration for record purposes. Philippine passport in the Philippines. A passport is a document issued by the Department of Foreign Affairs certifying the Philippine citizenship of the holder and is issued for travel purpose. On the other hand, a travel document is certifications containing the descriptions and other personal circumstances of the bearer, issued for the direct travel or to from the Philippines and normally valid for short periods or for a particular trip. It is issued only to the persons whose citizenship is doubtful and who fall under the following categories. A Filipino citizen returning the Philippines who for one reason or other has lost his or her passport or can be issued a regular passport. A Filipino citizen being sent back to the Philippines. An alien spouse of the Filipino under dependents who have not yet been naturalized as a Filipino and who are traveling to the Philippines or is a permanent resident of the Philippines. Aliens permanently residing in the Philippines who are not able to obtain foreign passport and other travel documents. A stateless person who is likewise or asylum in the Philippines. A Philippine passport alone is not absolute proof of citizenship, and immigration authorities may deny entry if citizenship is not properly established, if fraudulently claimed, or is doubtful. In case of passport loss, the holder must report it immediately to the Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA or the nearest Philippine post and submit an affidavit detailing their circumstances. Copies must be sent to the National Bureau of Investigation or NBI and the Bureau of Immigrations or BI. No new passport will be issued until proof of loss is verified and after a 15 days waiting period, except in the urgent cases where a consular official may waive the requirement. If a lost passport is found after a replacement is issued, it must be destroyed or returned to the holder if only a travel document was provided. Fantasy passports or camouflage passports. Fantasy passports are not valid travel documents. They are usually issued by a private individual or organization, usually purporting to be from a fictitious or invented country, fantasy land, or authority political group. Camouflage passports are not legitimate travel documents. They are deceptive as they purport to be legitimate travel documents from countries which once existed or which have changed their names. The names of the camouflage passport generally have some basis in history or geography, if not in international recognitions of their statehood. Visa requirements. A visa is a written endorsement made on a travel document or passport by a consular official denoting that the visa application has been properly examined under the bearer permitted to proceed to the country of his destination. This visa, though issued, is not a guarantee that the holder will be automatically admitted into the country because the admission of foreign national into the Philippines has a functions of the immigration authorities at the port of the entry. Entry visas are required for Palestinians, Taiwan passport holders, Hong Kong and Malaysian certificate of identity holders, unstated persons. Hong Kong and to UK and Macau to Portuguese passport holders can enter with a visa for up to 7 days. Sierra Leone visitor must secure entry visas. Hong Kong SAR, British National Overseas, Macau to Portuguese, and Macau SAR passport holders can enter without a visa for up to 7 days. National from unlisted countries can enter without a visa for up to 21 days if they have a passport valid for 6 months and a return ticket. They may also stay for 59 days with a valid sections visa from the Philippine consulate. Treaty trader or treaty investor. A treaty trader is a foreigner who is entering the Philippines solely to carry on a substantial or commerce between the Philippines and a country of which he has a national pursuant to an existing treaty commerce or navigation. A treaty investor is a foreigner who seeks admissions for the purpose of developing and contributing to the operations of an enterprise in the Philippines where he has invested or is actively in the process of investing a substantial amount of capital where his employer has invested or is actively in the process of investigating a substantial amount of capital provided as such employer is a foreign person or organizations of the same nationality as the applicant, and the applicant is an overall supervisor or executive. An applicant or treaty investor visa must establish, among others, that he seeks to enter the Philippines solely for the purpose of developing and directing to the operations of the enterprise in the Philippines. He seeks to enter the Philippines as a spouse or child of an enterprise in the Philippines. He is not applying for a non-immigrant visa in order to evade the quota or other restrictions which are applicable to immigrants, and he intends in good faith and will be able to. Subic Special Investors Visa under RA 7227. Foreign nationals not categorized as restricted as determined by the Department of Foreign Affairs visiting the Subic Freeport Zone for business and or tourism purposes may be allowed to enter all ports to entry of the zone and stay therein without a visa for a maximum period of 14 days, provided that upon arrival they present their passports, certificates of identity, or travel documents valid for at least 6 months beyond an intended stay in the zone and confirm onward flight tickets. Foreign nationals who enter the zone shall be the subject of the following restrictions. They shall leave or depart from the Philippines only through the Subic Bay International Airport. They shall not be allowed outside the secured area of the zone except to the visit areas outside the secured area but within the zone, provided that they are escorted by BI officers and or Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority or SBMA officers duly deputized by the BI. For those who intended to visit areas outside the zone or extend stay in the zone for any reason beyond the 14-day period must secure a visa waiver from the Department of Foreign Affairs, provided that upon securing such visa waiver, the restrictions as provided herein shall no longer be applicable. Special Economic Zone Visa under RA 7916. An investor within the Eco-Zone whose initial investment shall not be less than $150,000 US, his or her spouses and dependent children under 21 years old of age shall be granted permanent resident status within the Eco-Zone. They shall have the freedom to ingress to and from the Ecozone without any need of special authorization from the Bureau of Immigration. PASA issues renewable 2-year working visa for foreign executives and skilled workers if no Filipino in the Ecozone has the same expertise as certified by DOLE. PASA must report visa holders to the Bureau of Immigration within 30 days. Foreign nationals in the supervisory, technical, or advisory roles cannot exceed 5% of any Ecozone enterprises workforce without special approval from the Labor Secretary. Ecozones are designated areas for agro-industrial, industrial, tourist, commercial, banking, and financial development, which may include industrial estates, exporting processing zones, free trade zones, and tourist centers. Special Clerk Economic Zone visas under Executive Order No. 80 of 1993 and Executive Order No. 80 of 1993. Foreign national not categorized as restricted as determined by the Department of Foreign Affairs visiting the Clerk Ecozone of business and or tourism purposes may be allowed to enter all ports of entry of Clerk Ecozone and stay therein without visa of maximum period of 14 days. Provided that upon arrival they present their passport, certificates of their territory or travel documents valid for 6 months beyond an intended stay in the Clark Ecozone and confirm onward flight tickets. Aliens admitted in the Clark Ecozone may be permitted to visit areas within the Clark Ecozone but outside the main zone, such as the Zubik Zone, subzone, for business or tourism purposes subjected to the following conditions. Insofar as practicable, the Bureau of Immigration or BI shall be duly informed by the alien or his representative at least 24 hours in advance an intended visit. Whenever such 24 hours is not possible, the Clark Development Corporations or CDC shall be informed in writing. The alien concerned shall be escorted by authorized BI personnel. At least one BI officer shall be detailed to escort every group of not more than 10 visiting aliens. An alien admitted in the zone may be extended its temporary stay beyond 14-day limit to sit areas outside the zone, provided however that the BI upon written endorsement from the CDC. Cagayan Economic Zone and Freeport Visa are in 7922. Foreign investor who establish businesses within the Cagayan Economic Zone and maintain capital investments of at least $150 are granted permanent residency within the zone along with their spouse, dependents, and unmarried children under 21. They can enter and exit the zone freely without Bureau of Immigration authorization. CASA also grants renewable 2-year working visa to foreign executives and highly skilled technicians if no Filipino possesses their expertise, as certified by the DOLE. CASA must report visa residency grants by the Bureau of Immigration within 30 days. This does not affect a foreigner's eligibility or permanent residency under other Philippines law. Investor in tourist-related project or tourist establishment under Executive Order No. 63. Foreign investor who invested at least $50,000 in a tourism-related project or establishment are granted special investor resident status along with their spouse and unmarried minor children as long as their investment remains. They must meet certain conditions: no criminal record involving moral turpitude, no contagious or dangerous disease, and no history of institutionalized or mental disorders. They receive a multiple entry special investor resident visa allowing them to enter and exit the Philippines with only valid passports. They are exempt from alien immigrations and restrictions fees. The investor must visit countries at least twice a year, staying for at least 7 days per visit. If the investor withdraws or relocates the investment without approval, the Philippine government may revoke their visa. An annual report is required to confirm the investment remains active. Extensions of stay. In the case of non-immigrant visa holders whose stay in the Philippines will exceed 59 days, the consular officer shall advise them that they should secure extensions of stay and registered with the Bureau of Immigrations and pay the necessary immigration fees. The entry and admissions of an alien are matters to privilege, and there is no ministerial duty into the part of the Commissioner of Immigration to extend and stay a temporary visitor. The power of Commissioner of Immigration to extend the stay of temporary visitor is plenary. He is vested with the power and authority to grant such extension. Therefore, the Secretary of Foreign Affairs is not authorized to admit into the Philippines aliens to the temporary stay or extend the temporary stay of alien visitor in the country, as the law vests such power in the Commissioner of Immigration. Exclusions of foreigners. The law. Sections 29. The following classes of the aliens shall be excluded from entry into the Philippines: idiots or insane persons and persons who have been insane, persons affected with a loathsome or dangerous and contagious disease as epilepsy, persons who have been convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude, prostitute or prostitutes or persons coming for any immoral purpose, persons likely to become public charge, paupers, vagans, and beggars, persons who practice polygamy or who believe in and advocate the practice of polygamy, the persons who believe in the advocate of overthrow by force of violence on the government of the Philippines or the constituted law and authority, or who is disbelieved in or are opposed to organized government, who advocate the assault or assassinations of public officials because of their office, and who advocate or teach principles, theories, ideas contrary to the constitutions of the Philippines, or advocate or teach the unlawful destructions of property, or who are members of affiliated with any organizations entertaining or teaching such doctrines. Persons over 15 years of age, physically capable of reading, who cannot read printed matter in ordinary use in language selected by the alien. Persons who are members of family accompanying the excluded aliens, unless the opinions of the Commissioners of Immigration no hardship would result from their admissions. Persons accompanying an excluded person who is helpless from mental or physical disability or infancy, with the protections of guardianship, or such accompanying person or persons is required by the excluded person, as shall be determined by the Commissioner of Immigration if otherwise admissible. Children under 15 years of age, unaccompanied by the parent, expect that any such children may be admitted in the discretions of Commissioners of Immigration if otherwise admissible. Stowaways, except that any stowaways may be admitted in the discretions of the Commissioner of Immigration if otherwise admissible. Persons coming to perform unskilled manual labor or in pursuance for a promise or offer of employment, express or implied, but the provision shall not apply to the persons bearing passports visa authorized by Section 20 of his Act, as amended by Republic Act No. 503, Section 10. Persons who have been excluded or deported from the Philippines but has provisions may be waived in the discretions of the Commissioners or Immigration, provided, however, that the Commissioners or Immigration shall not involving moral distributed or any crime penalized under Sections 45, 46 of his Act, or the grounded of having engaged in hoarding, black marketing, or profiteering, unless such aliens have been previously resided in the Philippines immediately before their exclusions or deportations for a period of 10 years or more, or married to a native Filipino woman as amended by Republic Act No. 503, Section 10. Persons who have been removed from the Philippines at the expense of the government of the Philippines as indigent aliens under the provisions of the Sections 40 to 43 as this act and who have not obtained the consent of the Board of Commissioners to apply for admissions, and persons not properly documented for admissions or may be required under the provisions of this Act 41. International law affords sovereign state absolute discretion to determine whether an alien is qualified for entry into its territory. As a general rule, unfitness to try depends whether he or she possesses a risk to the general welfare. If entry will beat national security, public safety, public health, and public morals, exclusion is defined as the authority to deny entry of the aliens who are barred by immigrations as rules and regulations. This purpose of exclusion is to ensure that aliens who are allowed entry in the Philippines do not pose the threats in any of the three major categories of the Exclusion of this Act declared such aliens have been ineligible for entry around, namely public safety, public health, and national security. Section 25. For the purpose of determining whether aliens arriving in the Philippines belong to any of the classes excluded by the immigration laws, the examining immigration officer may order such aliens detained on board the vessel bringing them or in such other place as the officers may designate it. Such detention to be for the sufficient length of time to enable the officer to determine whether they belong to an excluded class on their removal. Exit requirements. Section 22. An alien about to depart from the Philippines temporarily or for permanent residence abroad shall before leaving the country apply the Commission of Immigration for a clearance certificate. The Commissioner finds that the applicant has no pending obligations with the government, its instrumentalities, agencies, and subdivisions, and that there is no pending criminal, civil, or administrative action which may be law requires his presence in the Philippines. The Commissioner shall issue the certificate upon surrender of the alien of all other certificates previously issued to him by the Bureau of Immigration showing his admission and or residence in the Philippines added pursuant to the Republic Act No. 144 Section 2. Republic Act No. 9225 or Dual Citizenship Law. Under this law, natural-born citizens of the Philippines who became citizens of the other country shall be deemed not to have lost their Philippine citizenship. Consequently, they must file petitions under oath to the Commissioner of the Immigrations of the issuance of an identification certificate. Former natural-born citizens living abroad may file the petitions to the nearest Philippine Foreign Post. A copy of the birth certificate and authenticated by the National Statistics Office is required to be submitted as proof of being a natural-born citizen of the Philippines. International law grants sovereign states an authority to determine whether an alien should be allowed entry into their territory. In general, a state's discussion depends on whether the alien possessed a risk of their public welfare. If an alien threatens national security, public safety, public health, or public morals, the state can exclude them. Exclusion refers to the power to deny entry to aliens who violate immigration laws, rules, and regulations. This purpose is to ensure that aliens admitted to the Philippines do not pose a threat to public safety, public health, and national security. The grounds of exclusions are primarily based on these three categories: public safety, public health, and national security as outlined in the 1940 Nationality Act. And that's it for my report in Chapter 16. Thank you.